Jake, you have to come.
Jake! Jake! Excuse me. Jake! We're not supposed to be running!
After years in a wheelchair, Jake experienced a joy he had never felt before, but then he stopped moving, quietly taking in the world around him. Just then, Grace walked over and handed Jake a piece of fruit. After tasting it, Jake was deeply amazed by its flavor. Night fell quickly. The moment his avatar closed his eyes, Jake's consciousness returned to his own body. Looking at his withered legs, he only sighed softly. Not long after, Colonel Miles found him. In Miles' view, the best way to conquer a place was to use overwhelming force. Humankind already had that capability, but they knew too little about the enemy. Miles wanted Jake to infiltrate the Navy, find their weaknesses, and report back. Miles promised that once the mission was done, he'd make sure Jake could walk again. Jake gladly accepted the deal.
That sounds real good, sir.
That is Sahelu, the bond. Feel her. Feel her heartbeat. Her breath.
During his first neural connection with the dire horse, Jake followed Nakiri's guidance, gently attuning himself to the creature. But when he tried to steer it forward, he slipped and fell off the saddle. Nakiri couldn't help but laugh at the sight. Just then, Sudi happened to pass by and joined in mocking Jake, but Jake didn't take their taunts to heart. When his consciousness returned to his human body, Jake reported his progress to Miles as usual. Unbeknownst to him, one of Grace's team members had overheard. By the time Jake returned to the lab, everyone was already packing up. They were heading to the floating mountains of Pandora. Grace hoped that by taking Jake there, she could keep him away from Miles, preventing him from disrupting the fragile peace they'd achieved. With help from Trudy, their pilot, they entered the Hallelujah Mountains. Suddenly, the aircraft's instrument panel failed, and they flew into a thick bank of clouds. When the mist gradually cleared, an incredible sight unfolded before them. Jake could hardly believe his eyes. After entering the base, Grace skillfully activated the power system. Though the place was covered in dust, old photos scattered around still hinted at the lively, peaceful days it had once seen.
Shit.
Do not look in her eye. Gran will fly without only one hunter and the whole life. To become Aronyu, hunter, you must choose your own Ikran, and he must choose you.
When?
When you are ready.
To sooner have an Ikran of his own. In the days that followed, Jake never stopped learning. He studied the Navi language intently, and his legs grew steadily stronger. Thanks to Jake's efforts, Grace was allowed back into the village. That softened her attitude toward him, and she even shared with Jake how humans had once stormed the school and killed Neytiri's sister. Though Grace had protected most of the children, she couldn't mend what was already broken. One day, as usual, Jake followed Neytiri out to hunt. His movements were becoming more skilled. Neytiri felt he was ready to become a true hunter, so Jake climbed the floating mountains with other young hunters to find an Ikran's roost. Each person had only one chance to choose an Ikran, and the process was dangerous. If the Ikran chose you, it would try to kill you. Jake slowly approached one of the creatures, lassoed its mouth, and leapt onto its back. The Ikran thrashed violently. Jake clung tightly to its neck, trying to calm its wild spirit. But just as he was about to make the neural connection, the Ikran threw him off with another fierce jolt.
Dive! Go, go! Follow me!
The vines blocked the giant creature, allowing Jake and the others to escape. Afterward, Neytiri told Jake the creature was called Torok, and in Navi history, only 5 hunters had ever tamed one. Each Torok Makto had brought peace and hope to their people. Touching the massive skeleton made Jake feel like Pandora was his true home, while the real world felt like nothing more than a dream. Before he knew it, 3 months had passed. Miles had mostly pinpointed the location of the soul tree. He promised Jake that once the Navi home was destroyed, he'd honor their original deal and restore Jake's body. But Jake wanted one last chance. If it passed the Navi's final rite of passage, he could truly become one of them and then try to persuade them to relocate. Reluctantly, Miles agreed. Soon, the ceremony began. Under the gaze of all the Navi, Jake was one of them.
Brother. Mated with this woman?
Oh shit.
Is this true?
We are mated before Ewa. It is done.
Brother, please, do not attack the Sky people. Many of Matakaya will die if you do. You are not my brother!
Furious, Sully immediately attacked Jake. Jake had no choice but to draw his knife to defend himself. Meanwhile, Miles had already stormed the facility and severed Jake's connection to his avatar. Seizing the moment, Sully tried to finish Jake off, but Neytiri stepped in to shield him. When Jake finally regained consciousness, Miles was standing over him with soldiers at his side. Then Miles showed surveillance footage of Jake helping the Na'vi, proof of his betrayal. Miles had long known the Na'vi wouldn't relocate peacefully, so it was inevitable. No matter how much Grace emphasized the importance of the Soul Tree, Miles wouldn't listen. He even played back Jake's own early recordings, back when Jake himself thought negotiating with the Na'vi was absurd and a waste of time. But after all this time living among them, Jake wanted to protect the Na'vi's home. It was too late. No, Miles was already mobilizing attack helicopters to destroy the Soul Tree.
If you are one of us, help us.
Jake led the Na'vi away from the battlefield. On the other side, Trudy witnessed the military's atrocities and decided to break away from her unit. Home Tree was reduced to ruins in the flames. Dense smoke billowing into the sky. The ancient trees, standing for millennia, began to collapse. The giant trees that the Na'vi depended on for survival fell one after another with thunderous crashes. Neytiri watched the forest crumbling around her and let out a cry of grief and rage. When the fighting briefly paused, she searched for her father, only to find him gravely wounded on the ground. With his last breath, he placed his bow in Neytiri's hands. By the time Jake arrived, Neytiri's grief had turned into burning anger. She drove him away, convinced he was the cause of this destruction. Jake still tried to explain, but the base staff shut down the link chamber and forcibly removed both of them, locking them in a holding cell. Meanwhile, the Na'vi carried Grace's avatar away from the smoke and fire, migrating towards safer ground.
I was afraid, Jake. For my people. I'm not anymore.
Jake returned as Torek Makto, rekindling hope among the Na'vi. Sully also became his ally, fighting by his side. That night, Jake gently placed Grace's body under the Soul Tree. If Awa accepted her, Grace could leave her human form behind and truly become Na'vi. During the ceremony, however, Moet suddenly stopped, as if she'd sensed Awa's will. Grace's spirit was too weakened, and in the end, the transfer could not be completed. She went to join Awa, leaving the empty shells to return to the Earth. Grace's death ignited Jake's fury. Humans had brought their law of survival of the fittest to Pandora, and now Jake would stand against them, leading the Na'vi to drive humanity from the planet. The Na'vi rose into the air behind Jake, flying to every corner of Pandora to call all clans to join the fight for their home.
Sir, ground has movement. That's approaching.
Charlie Oscar, Rider 6.
Firing line.
Target's closing. Range 400 meters.
Can't you clean it up? No, sir. It's the flux.
Jake led the clan into the attack. He brought down one helicopter, and Sully was quick to match him, taking out a pilot with his bow. Seeing this, Miles ordered a full assault. The ground troops also came under fire, and the Na'vi struggled against the heavy firepower of the human mechs. Miles had already locked onto Jake's position and ordered the fighters to concentrate their fire. Just then, Trudy appeared out of nowhere, launching a surprise attack on Miles. In the exchange of fire, Trudy was shot down. At the same time, Neytiri was also under attack. Her Ikran was killed on impact, and clansmen around her fell one after another. The air battle wasn't going well either. Sully was hit multiple times and plummeted from the sky. Then Miles turned his fire toward the Soul Tree. Neytiri was pushed to the edge, forced to take cover behind the tree. Just as she prepared for a final stand, the enemy suddenly stopped firing. Neytiri believed that Awa had heard Jake's prayer and sent the beast horde to aid them. Even the fierce viper wolves bowed their heads willingly, becoming her mount without resistance. At the same time, countless Ikrans suddenly filled the sky, launching a massive assault. While the enemies were distracted, Jake leaped onto an aircraft, raced forward, pulled the pin on a bomb, and hurled it. He escaped just before the explosion. As Jake prepared to repeat the move, Miles spotted him. Miles yanked the control stick, causing Jake to fall and dangle precariously in midair. Seeing him there, Miles opened fire immediately. With the aircraft about to crash, Miles quickly retreated into his mech suit and ejected just before the explosion. After escaping, Miles stumbled by chance upon the hidden human base in the forest. Just as he prepared to attack, Neytiri's figure appeared in his rearview mirror. The two instantly clashed, but Neytiri was soon thrown off. She regained her stance and lunged again, only for Miles to suddenly pull out a knife and plunge it deep into the Viper Wolf's body. In the end, Neytiri was pinned beneath Miles, unable to move.
Give it up, Parch! So,
Nothing's over while I'm breathing.
how come the Hope just say that?
The two sides clashed without another word. The amp suit's size gave it the advantage. Jake attacked from above, driving a blade through the cockpit glass, just inches from any Miles' life. Miles pulled the blade out, quickly put on his breathing mask, and headed toward the base. He shattered a window with one punch, and broke into one of the link rooms. Realizing his intent, Jake attacked him from behind. Just then, the base alarm blared, disrupting Jake's neural link. He instantly lost all combat ability. Neytiri broke free with all her strength, drew her bow, and fired an arrow piercing Miles' chest. Before he could react, she fired another. Miles finally fell for good. At the same moment, Jake's consciousness returned to his human body, but the base structure had been compromised, and he couldn't breathe. He struggled toward a breathing mask on the wall. Sensing something was wrong, Neytiri rushed inside and quickly placed the mask over Jake's face. In the end, the humans were driven from Pandora, and Jake truly became mad.